This is your host Steve from the back coming at you again, raw and unscripted as always. So I went to the Walmart today, and the reason why I actually went there was because I thought that the tax thing was open. I thought I'd do my taxes, but I ended up finding out that someone already had an appointment, so I had to set up an appointment, and so I set up that appointment, and that was fine. And then I figured, well, since I'm here, what I'll do is I'll cruise around through the store, see if there's any women there that are really attractive. I already had my number ready. I already pretty much planned. Well, I don't really plan, I guess you could say, but I had it in my head, like, what I would say if they were like, oh, what do you want, or something, or, just generally, I already know how I'm going to handle that, but I figure, I'll at least try to give my number out or exchange numbers or something. But there was no, like, all the women I saw, pretty much none of them really were worth, in my opinion, my time. So I just decided to just leave and wait for the bus. And it's weird. Now, what this rant is about how a person can have intuition and senses about things that necessarily there are no physical signs that would make sense why you would think these things, but then somehow something just happens, it's like somehow, and it could be positive or negative that something happens, but you somehow have like a sixth sense. And this is really weird because this is something that's only happened to me, maybe, like, I could really say once that this happened, but it was a different way. And what it was something else. It was a situation to where I found out almost, I wouldn't say incriminating, like, to the fact of, like, legally, well, maybe legally incriminating. I'll just say that. I'm not going to mention this person's name. This is not someone that I know per se well, but the weird thing was somehow almost an incriminating fact and facts about this person. I somehow sensed it somehow. I don't know. I can't explain how, but I somehow did. And then some events transpired to where I could confirm it. So with that being said, this is what I mean. So the weird thing about this, when this type of thing happens, is usually this happens when you don't expect it. You're not thinking something's weird is going to happen. You're not necessarily thinking that. You know what I mean? You might not necessarily be thinking that, or maybe you are, which I feel like is a different way or a different phase of something like this that happens. So to get to the point, basically, when I left the store, I had this weird feeling. Now, this is a strange feeling. This is the feeling when I could only describe it. This is if like the feeling when you can see a situation escalating and you know there's going to be an altercation, most likely a physical altercation, and you know that cops will be called. Or it could be when you know something is escalating and you know someone is going to get hurt physically, so you know an ambulance is going to be called at some point. Like, you know that the path that someone is heading down is going to end in a, like, how do I say this? Some type of really, like, intense situation to where there's a lot of uncertainty involved, there's a lot of confusion, and it's a serious situation. Like, not serious, but it's serious enough to where some form of law is going to be called. And that's exactly what did happen. But the weird thing about this was, I really had no clue what was it's like I knew something was going to happen. I got this weird sinking feeling, and I was thinking, like, you know what, I have to figure out possibly, maybe not certainly, but I've said in my head, I have to figure out how I'm going to approach this if this weird thing happens, because I can sense that something bad is going to happen soon. You know, when I was waiting at the bus, right? I'm thinking like something is going to happen. So my first mind thinks like it's going to be something that is like violent, or it's going to be a situation where I may have to do something violent, and I don't know how that's going to end. I don't know if I'm going to have to run from that area. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that, you know, the weird thing was it wasn't me, but it was for someone else. The thing was, I knew that someone was going to have to make a decision, and that decision was going to be serious. But in my mind, I'm thinking it's me. I'm thinking like, oh, so if I'm going to have to make a decision that could either be getting myself in trouble or not, and I have to be very wise in what decision I make. So that was my frame of mind. But the weird thing is, once I actually let that thought go and let that thinking go, because I said, you know what, this is just maybe me just being paranoid or something like that. You know, because this doesn't make any sense. Like, why am I having the same feelings that I would as if there was something really serious and nothing is going on? There's not even a lot of people around. Like, there's barely anyone around. There's just cars. There's like nothing's happening. So, what am I thinking about this? And then, not even minutes later after that, someone drives through. It's like an older lady. She drives through, and I guess when someone was opening their car door, she was coming through. And when they were opening their car and she was coming through, or however it happened, because I really didn't see it, I just heard the bang and I heard the cracking sound. So she hit the person's door, and or they, however the law would deem that, whatever. Well, there was a collision or whatever, and it almost ripped off part of her part of her car. It almost ripped off like part of this little thing on the back, and I automatically knew, okay, so that's what it was. You know what I mean? So that's what the whole, this weird feeling was about. That's all it was. That's what it was. You know, so I'm just saying this and making this rant to explain, you know, for those of us that are in this whole community, the cryptozoology community, the alien disclosure, all of us who are interested in these things, and those of us that are also part of, you know, spiritual communities, occult communities, things like that, you understand what I mean, and you understand how these weird things do happen, you know. But the strangest thing, it's not necessarily the whole thing happening that's that weird to me, because I have had a couple of weird instances where things like that did happen. But the thing also is, it was always the focus was on me somehow, and I was a person who had to make like a decision about something. But this time it was something so random and so outside of myself, something that has nothing to do with me, you know what I mean, at all. And it was just some random lady that hit somebody, you know what I mean, or they opened their door, or whatever, however that plays out, you know. And the odd thing too, which was very odd about this also, was I only heard most of what happened and then saw the damage after, because she's only some feet from me when she pulled up after that happened, this collision happened. And then some random person gives her their card, and this guy says he'll be a witness for the thing or whatever. And I was thinking, and the funny thing, you know, the way my mind thinks is thinking, I'm glad it's not me, because I want nothing to do with this. I don't care about this crap. This is stupid. You know what I mean? This is not even entertaining. I feel like there's nothing I really could gain from any of this. I'm not, like, I can't even say that I saw it, because I heard most of what happened. I heard the crush and the collision. You know, I heard it as it happened, but the way that I could hear it happening, it was the sound of perfect timing. And by perfect timing, I don't mean the perfect timing is in a good thing. I mean perfect timing in the bad way. Like, you know how when You see someone crossing a street, and you know that if they go at a certain pace or a certain beat, there's a beat to where they could have gotten hit. There's a beat when, you know, they would have hit something. You know that that's like, if they didn't time that right, if they didn't, you know, that would have been it. You know, that would have been the collision. And that I heard that. Like, I literally heard the door hit her car like that, you know. And I turned around automatically, and I was looking straight at it, and I clearly saw, you know, the way the door was open, and, you know, I already knew right then and there, that second, what was going on. I was like, here we go with this crap. And I honestly thought the people might have did a hit and run. I thought maybe they were going to just, like, drive away or something. But that didn't happen. Actually, one cop was called, then they called another cop. You know, that whole thing. And that's what happened. You know, there was one time where I was doing and it's way back. If you go on my playlist, you could probably even find this video, because it's old. It's like years old. Where I was working out at one of these little small parks that's in the city, and literally as I was filming myself doing this pull-up routine, literally there was an accident. You know, so I didn't get the accident itself. But I got, like, I'm trying to think if I actually got footage of the people talking, or if I just talked about it after. But it happened while I was doing, like, a rant like this. Not rant like this, but, like, a video, like me just doing a video, like normal. And, the funny thing about that, though, was there was no expectation for anything like this. This is not a thing that normally happens with people on a regular basis, unless you're, like, some type of, unless you're sensitive to something like that, you have some type of gift where you can psychically or something, you can always anticipate things like that. So I just figured I'd rant about that because it was worth ranting about. It was because it was so weird. And I'll admit, when it happened, I was trying not to laugh because it was kind of comical. Actually, there's more layers to why it was comical, but I'm not going to even go into that. But it was comical. But that's the rant. I figure I'll keep it short, you know, keep it moving. This is your host, Steve from the back, and hit the bell icon, hit the like, you know, the sub, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share. If you leave a comment that's worth reading. You know, don't come on this channel with nonsense. And this should be kid-friendly, so this should be able to be in the kid-friendly gaming playlist. Doesn't need to be adult at all. I don't think I'm a good person or anything. That's the end of the rant, and have a nice day.